So yeah, what have you done in the course that you thought were challenging?
I think quantum physics is especially hard, and that's like the kind of physics that deals with particles that are extremely small. And I found it hard because it's not like classical physics. You can't just think of it from like a mechanical point of view or the traditional mindset. So I think the fact that it needs a different way of seeing it, a different mindset, that was especially hard for me.
I'd say topic 7 for me, which is nuclear. So topic 7, which is nuclear, I think that was probably the most challenging course, only because I'm a student that doesn't take chem. I take only physics, and the reason I avoided chemistry was because I didn't want to deal with atoms, and then they just popped up in physics, so that was pretty hard. Because it's really hard to visualize all the different things that you can't see, and work with them, and know their speeds and stuff.
So I would say that arguably out of all the subjects or out of all the science subjects, physics is probably the hardest. And yeah, there's just a lot of trickiness that you can involve in physics that isn't really there in bio or chem. And
I would say it's really conceptual.
Yeah.
To the point that they can ask like so many questions about it, which we can't really prepare for.
Yeah.
So it's really about understanding the concept, while I'd say in chemistry and bio it's sort of a memorization also plays a role,
Yeah.
but I don't think that's the case in physics.
Yeah. I feel like in physics, like you have to really read the question really well, because a single word can change the whole meaning of a question, and so I feel like it's more like you can see those type of questions more in physics than you can in chemistry or bio. So yeah.
As the semester goes on, like especially when you hit 12th grade first semester or 12th grade second semester, that's when it gets really hard because you have to apply everything you've learned, and they give you questions that aren't like just something you can calculate. It's something you have to integrate everything you've learned and like put together to find the correct answer, which is really hard.
At the beginning, you learn about uncertainty, which is a really confusing unit to start off with because it really doesn't have much to do with physics. It's just like how well we know things and sort of the exact measures and stuff. Then you move into kinematics, which is basically everyday things, how like bottles fall, or like how people throw tennis balls. It basically applies to everything we do, all movement. That's what kinematics is. And then topic 3, we learn about thermal, so heat transfers and how hot something is and how that transfers on when there's contact, when there isn't, and how things change state. And so that is a really interesting unit, I found. Topic 4 is waves, and it's going to be your biggest. Topic 2, which is kinematics, the movement one. Topic 2 and topic 4 are your biggest units, and topic 4 is really, I thought it was really interesting because you learn about all the different types of waves. So yeah, and then the rest units.
There's a lot of HL stuff in there as well. Get that capacitance stuff, all the charges. HL in general will have the same topics as SL, but in more detail. There'll be more stuff to learn. And then we both do the option, which is astrophysics. It's all about stars and space and how light shines millions of billions of miles away.
Well, in the waves unit, I actually learned a lot about the real world. Like I learned through the unit of polarization how sunglasses, they remove the color and makes you actually look at the sun. And it also taught us how light waves and sound waves, they refract through different objects where they start to curve and stuff. And that was pretty cool.
Yeah, kinematics and waves are more applicable to the real world because those stuff you encounter every day, but stuff like quantum mechanics and like nuclear physics, we don't really encounter that, but
they're in the subatomic levels.
Yeah. And other than that, I think like as a class, you really learn to like be able to teach yourself and do some learning outside of class by yourself, because without it, it's going to be real difficult, and people like might think that you can just get through the class by just listening to class and maybe doing homework once or twice, but that's not the case in physics.
All right.
What part of the course do you find most interesting?
I feel like the scope at which you learn, like
Mhm.
you learn like the numbers that you use, they scale from so small all the way to so large. Like you go from quantum physics and then suddenly you're doing astrophysics, and it's just like
Right.
you just have such a huge like a scope, like huge
Mhm.
scope of which you learn, and so that's what I think is really interesting about physics.
I personally am interested in particle physics, like nuclear physics,
Yeah.
because not only that it's quite recent, the topic itself, but I really like how we can investigate it into such small quantums.
Yeah,
So I think it's worth studying,
yeah, it
and
is.
it's something that's keep developing, and will be
Yeah.
further investigated in the
Yeah.
future.
But I'd say out of all three of the sciences,
Uh-huh.
physics has the most fun labs, except for IAs.
Fun labs, sure.
But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff that we do.
Mm.
Like there's a lot
Sure.
of lasers and
Sure.
a bunch
Rockets,
of rockets. Yeah.
Rockets, liquid
Uh,
nitrogen.
So yeah, they're all fun, and I also low key like paper ones.
Oh yeah.
Man, MCQs are so fun.
Yeah, and you're gonna see like your peers like doing this during the test.
Yeah,
like,
you guys will
Yeah,
learn
yeah.
later. You guys will learn later.
Well, I really enjoy kinematics on the test because kinematics is something we've gone over since 10th grade, and it's really direct and simple calculation questions. So I really like having those on my test, but like that's course-wise, I really like doing experiments, especially the cool ones we get to do once in a while that's maybe not directly related to the course. Like we sometimes get to watch the contraction due to temperature and like see water bottles explode.
One experiment that I found really interesting was during the kinematics course. Our teacher, he showed us an experimentation where we would drop a ball off a building, and using the time we found and the initial velocity, we actually estimated the height of the building, and I thought that was pretty cool.
I thought waves was the most interesting unit because I did the best on that unit out of all of them. But yeah, waves isn't that hard to understand conceptually, because I mean you see waves in the ocean, but there are similar types of waves. It's a lot easier to understand waves because you can actually see them. Like if you take a slinky and you like let go, you can see the waves, and you can see it with rope and stuff. And it's really easy to conceptualize because even if you don't understand a concept, you can physically make out that scenario and understand it. So that's what I did. So when I didn't understand light diffraction, I just took out a flashlight and I realized, well, that's how things work. If you put something in its way, light will soon, the waves will soon spread over. So it's very easy to conceptualize. So I think that waves is probably the best course. What's interesting?
what do you consider as the benefits of taking this course? Well, I think it's a repetition.
So the benefits of this course, if you're a math lover, like Jamin said, I think it's really good because it's not so hardcore that you can't do it, but also it has this trickiness to it. The other benefits, of course, you have to take physics if you want to get into certain courses in like uni, and
If you want to major engineering, you
Yeah.
have to take physics. That's for sure.
yeah.
If you want to do something science related, engineering, math, I'd strongly recommend you to take physics out of different science courses.
Yeah.
It does teach you how to be better at math in general. I mean, the application of numbers beyond just like a classroom. So in math, you would just be studying pure math. To take it outside the classroom, to apply it to a situation that you've seen in real life, to apply it to something that affects your daily life as well, I think is a particular benefit.
I think that's the most I think that's the biggest benefit, is that it applies to everything we do. So if you like wake up in the morning, like there's different forces acting on you. You talk, there's waves. You heat up your food in a microwave. Microwave is electrics, like, and you learn about electric stuff too. So basically, every single thing that you do during your day can be studied through physics.
You have to be quite self-aware about your studying habits and your techniques and how efficient you are at studying by yourself. It definitely makes you a better student, but you should be aware of that going in. That you're not going to be, your hand isn't going to be held the whole way through the course.
I think if you take physics, other sciences will also come naturally for you because physics kind of, well, not really applies them, but is related to them, and especially like topic I think 6, where it's temperatures and like heat and like changing from phases, stuff like that comes out in chem and bio as well. So it will help you for that, and I guess it really prepares you for college studying.
And also at senior year, if you take math SL course, or if you take a math HL course, you would have to go through calculus, and through calculus there, in the content of differentiation and integration, we actually cover kinematics, which is found prevalent in physics. And also, if you're going to a field of engineering in college, physics is more than a mandatory subject to take.
Physics is not just applicable for engineering fields, but also any other science fields like biomedical and health related and all that.
So I would say, firstly, is you have to be interested in, or you have to have, like, you have to want to learn, and like if you're good at math, then that's a plus, because like there's a lot of, the whole of paper 2 is pretty much math and some explanations. So like we said earlier, it is one of the it's the most challenging of the science courses, in my opinion at least.
If you're thinking about your grade, you know. No, this is official that physics is the hardest course of all science courses. So it's really challenging, and real advice, if you're taking math SL right now, if you're planning to take math SL next year, I don't think it's a good idea to take physics HL.
SL is possible.
SL, it might be possible, it's still challenging, but it's that hard. It's that hard. It's mathy. Out of all science, it's really mathy and
content heavy.
Content heavy, yeah. So it's really challenging. You really need to think about how you're gonna do on studying this subject.
But yeah, just balancing the overall is a big issue, especially if you're taking double sciences. Like, I know that it can be pretty hard, especially with like labs and stuff.
Yeah.
That are. I mean, I did triple science, so. Like, yeah, I had to do 3, so.
Well, we're both taking math
Yeah.
at HL, but we're kind of struggling in
Yeah.
physics SL right now. So, yeah.
When people talk about physics, a lot of people will straight away think about like math, and it's heavily mathematics and math related. And maybe if you're not a strong student in math, that would like defer you from like taking the course. But physics is not just all about math and calculations. It's also abstract ideas and like concepts.
Physics is a hard course because you have to fully understand the physical properties of many matter, and that may be very complex to understand for some people, and they would test you on those, which is very hard as well. And the calculations, as Brian just said, is really not that hard. Like, the hardest mathematical calculation I've ever done in physics was like changing log into a exponential form or such, And in paper 2, you're given a calculator to solve all of the math questions as well too. So it's not a big problem if you're bad at math.